I have 3 easy ways for you to make a stencil with or without a cutting machine. If you're like me, you need more wall space in your house to hang all the wood signs that you love. I guess I'm addicted, I have a problem, I don't know. But hit that like button if you want to hear how to make stencils so you can make your own wood signs. Let's get started. I'm Stephanie, and I've learned lots of crafting tips and tricks throughout my many years of crafting and since starting my handmade business. I'm sharing them with you on this channel, so hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of my new videos. In this video, I'm sharing with you a project I completed with my 11-year-old son to create these really cute fish silhouette wood signs to decorate his new room. They were really quite simple to make, and he actually did all the work. From staining to painting, all I had to do was create the stencil for him to use. So I'm sharing with you the 3 different stenciling techniques that we use to create these signs. You choose the one that is right for you. And hey, maybe get your kiddos involved and have them create something for their room or other decor around your home. Like I said, this is a really simple project, and as you can see, it turned out really well. So let me show you what we did. If you don't have a cutting machine to make a stencil, this is a method that you can use simply using a home printer. So I found my image and I printed it on my home printer. Now, as you can see, this image, it was a little bit longer than an 8.5 by 11 sheet. So I've actually printed part of it on one piece of paper, and then I printed another part, the front part of the fish, on another, cut it and stuck it together. So all I'm gonna do is flip this image over, and I have a piece of chalk. And I'm simply gonna take the chalk, and on the back of the image, I'm just going to color just the edge of my image, and I can see through it. This is just on regular copy paper, so you want it to be thin. Don't do it on cardstock, because then you would not be able to see through the paper to see the image, but I can see the outline here on the back. So I'm just going over the edge of my image with the chalk. And then when I've gone over all of the edges, I'll be able to flip it over and trace it, and just the chalk is going to be left on my wood board, and then that'll be my pattern for painting. Now I'm going to flip my image over, and I'm going to align it where I want it to be on my sign. I'm just an eyeballer, so I'm just looking to see where I think it fits best. You can measure if you want to. So now I've got it where I want it. If you want, you can tape it down. This is a simple image, so I'm just going to hold it down. And now you're going to take a pencil and just trace around the edge of your image, and that chalk is going to be left on your sign, and then you can go back and you can paint it. And there you see, we have the outline of the fish in chalk. So this project is for my 11-year-old's bedroom, so he is actually going to be doing the painting. So he's going to get started and start tracing the outline first, and then he will just fill in all of the fish. Now I just wanted to show you, whenever the paint has dried, you can still see the chalk lines a little bit there around some of the edges. So I've got a paper towel, and I've just dampened it a little bit. And I'm just going to wipe away those chalk lines. I'm kind of just dabbing because I don't want to get the paint real wet and end up smearing it or anything like that. But that's why you want to wait until it is all dry before you do this. This is my preferred method of making a stencil. I prefer to use non-permanent vinyl, adhesive vinyl, to make a stencil. So that's exactly what this is right here. I've used 631 Oracal vinyl, and the reason I'm using non-permanent vinyl is because whenever you stick it to the wood and you're pulling up, when you're finished painting and you're pulling up your stencil, if you use a permanent vinyl, it tends to splinter the wood and you end up peeling up little bits of wood sometimes, and then you have to go back and touch up. And with using the non-permanent vinyl, you help prevent that from happening. So I have on my stencil, I have clear transfer tape. Some people use contact tape. This is actual transfer tape. And I'm just gonna use this tool. I will tell you, this is the best little handy dandy tool that I got at the Dollar Tree, actually. It's in the kitchen section, and it's a scraper tool, and it's meant for, I guess, chopping things in the kitchen and scooping them up and putting them in a bowl. But I use it to adhere the transfer tape really good to the vinyl, getting out any bubbles and just making sure that the vinyl is adhered to the transfer tape. So now I'm going to flip it over and peel up the stencil off of the backing. And now I'm going to do my favorite method of just eyeballing and figuring out where this little guy is going to go on this wood sign. Oh, and another trick I did is put a box around the fish, and I made the box to be the exact width of the sign that this is going on. So this is going to help me get it straight. So all I need to do is line up this edge on the right edge of my sign. So I'm only having to eyeball the top to bottom and make sure it's centered top to bottom. And by lining up the edges, I'll know that it's going to be straight. I don't know why I hate measuring so much, so I find all sorts of different methods so that I do not actually have to get out a ruler. Now I'm going to take my little scraper tool again, and I'm going to scrape it down. And now to pull it up, a trick is always start from a corner and go diagonally. That just helps everything stay adhered. And I'm just pushing down and then pulling back. See that little guy, he pulled up. So I'm just gonna push it down and pull back some more. There it goes, it's down. All right, so I got all the transfer tape pulled off. Now I'm gonna go and I'm just gonna push around all the edges. You wanna make sure the edges are really adhered well so that you don't get any paint coming underneath your stencil. So all these other places where you can see bubbles, that doesn't matter because that's not where I'm concerned about paint going. So you don't have to worry about it being adhered all the way. So when painting with a vinyl stencil, as you can see, I've started here and I'm doing a different method, not just taking brush strokes and brushing. I'm using this stippling foam brush, and when I put paint on the foam brush, I'm using these little circles in my palette and dabbing off as much paint as I can. I want just a very, very thin layer of paint on my brush, and then I'm just gonna dab along the edge, and I'm gonna end up with a very small, thin coat of paint all around the edge. You're gonna end up having to do this a couple of times. But by doing it this way, you don't get paint seeping under your vinyl. So we're just gonna do the outline like this. So I'm dabbing some more paint, getting as much off as possible. Now if you do get paint under the vinyl, it's okay, there are ways to fix it. That happens to me a lot, and then I've learned this technique and this works much better. So just going all around the edges, and then I will have my son take over. He'll be doing the other layers, but I'm just doing the first one to show him how to do this technique. All right, so there's the first layer, and I'm gonna have him start going over and doing another layer. But now that it's dry, I'm going to pull up the stencil and show you what nice, clean, crisp lines you get with this technique. Sometimes I get impatient and I do pull up the vinyl whenever it is still wet. I haven't found there to really be a difference in whether that affects the edges or not, so it's up to you. It's sometimes easier to do it when it's dry, just so you don't make a mess with the paint that's on the vinyl. But like I said, I've done it both ways, just depends on how impatient I am that day. So look at the nice, clean, crisp lines that we got from doing the stippling technique with the stencil. Looks awesome. That is my preferred method just because I think it is the simplest method. For this stencil, I'm using cardstock. I needed my image larger than a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock is the largest that I have. So I took the shark, I sliced him in half. I've got the two pieces that I'm actually going to tape together, and that makes him as long as I need him for the sign. And I'm just going to place, again, eyeball method, place him on the sign where he needs to be. Now this time I am gonna tape down because this is just harder to keep in one spot. So I'm gonna use painter's tape and just tape it down. And all you need to do is you just take a pencil and you're just going to trace. And for this, I would suggest doing it on cardstock because that gives you a thicker edge. Whoops, I broke my pencil point. Don't push that hard. The cardstock gives you a thicker edge to help guide your pencil as you go around. Now, I was just on a rough piece of wood, so it was hard to glide. But now with my pencil, I'm just tracing along. And I know it's gonna be hard to see on camera. Let me see if I can zoom in. You can see the pencil mark there. It's hard to see on camera, but whenever you're doing your work, you'll be able to see it. All right, Ian, are you going to continue tracing? All right, so he's gonna continue tracing, taking over for me. And then when you're all done, then we will go back and pick up the tape and go ahead and trace where the tape is. And so then after you have your image traced, then you're just going to do the painting technique where you just trace the outline and then paint. It just is giving you your guideline for your image so you don't have to try and freehand it. I cannot freehand anything, so I always need a pattern or a stencil. And here is the finished product. Look how great all of these signs turned out. No matter which stencil technique you choose to use, you can create beautiful signs with each technique. Comment below, which stencil technique do you want to try? If you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to hit that like button. It helps other people find this tutorial in the YouTube world. And if you want to see more craft tutorials, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any of my new videos. Thanks for watching! Here's another video for you to watch next. I'll see you there.